Alright, and we're back for part 3 of our Let's Play of Inside. I am BeBetterGamer.
And I'm DrunkenHomemaker.
And we are faced with, to me, is the biggest mystery of this game.
Yeah. Well, no. She's the second biggest for me.
She's the second biggest mystery for you?
But she's one of the most intriguing. She's one of the few characters in this game and one of the most intriguing. Yeah, when she appears, it's just like, I think the last thing we were talking about is how, in this part, I was telling you, just see, like, let her get to you and let's see what happened. And you were just, like, refusing. You were like, nope.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Because like I said, like I mentioned, I don't like when I play video games and either if I know I'm the protagonist, like me, BeBetterGamer is the protagonist, or if I'm assuming the role of someone else. And in this game, you could very much, debate who the boy is, whether it's another character completely or it is supposed to be some sort of, extension of you, the player. But I don't like to see myself get hurt. And it very clearly looked like that she was gonna do something to you, and I refused to let her come near me.
Yeah, but my reasoning was like, well, we're just gonna do it over if she like. But I wanted to, because I think it's part of the mystery of this game, or I guess it's taking stuff that you sort of deem innocent, and you deem things that should be safe, right? Like the little chicks.
Yeah.
What's the other thing? The fishes, the little girl. And it sort of surrounds them in mystery and sort of makes you question what their intentions are, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's one of the things that's intriguing about this game to me. And one of the themes, actually, that they seem kind of obsessed with, I feel like, the developers, because it's one of those things where in Limbo specifically, the others are, kids,
yes. Yeah.
And they're not good in that game.
No, they don't.
So
they're out to harm you. Everything's out to harm you,
and they're children.
Yeah.
So that's that's the other thing. But we'll cover that more through the Limbo playthrough. But just going back to this game, I was like, it's a little girl. Like, sorry, it's so loud. What is she gonna do to us? Was sort of like my whole thing was like, well, what's the worst she can do? She's a little girl. And
when I went back and I replayed it with Bella. Showing Bella, because Bella was really interested to play this game after her mental breakdown of...
Did we talk about that yet?
No, we didn't talk about that, but I might want to save that more for Limbo.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Here's another orb, and I'm guessing this orb is positioned, right out of the forest that we were recently in.
Is it getting, like, louder? Like, it's getting, like, progress. I keep, like, lowering it, and it keeps getting louder.
Oh, maybe the volume's spiking. But, the girl, she pulls you out of the hatch and she drags you down and she drowns you.
Oh, okay.
And I had a thought with that. I stood there for a moment and I peered against the glass because there's a little detail in this game. I love when you go against glass. You just like kind of put your hand there and you look through it.
Oh, do you?
And that's a big motif for the buildup of the game. A lot of the picture, I think the picture that's even like on the box art is that moment when you're looking through the glass and you see the people running.
Yeah. Which is such a cool moment. I can't wait to get to it.
Yeah. But with the girl, so having replayed this a couple of times, and we're watching a replay. This isn't the first time we're playing it through, but having replayed it, I do believe that the moment where we'll come to where you meet the girl again, you're supposed to have gone through the game without dying at all, which makes that moment even stronger. You know what I mean?
Because you expect her to kill you, and then you have that moment.
Yeah, and it's something, again, it's that whole, it's playing with this notion of like, am I playing a video game, or am I like watching a story, or am I like living the video game? You know what I mean? Because video games, you're expected to die. You're expected to die over and over and over and try again. But this was the first time when I played a game and I went back into it, and I barely died that time when I was playing in front of Bella, and I just had this realization, like, this game has a completely different meaning if you don't die up into that second meeting with the little girl. You know what I mean? It's just, it just adds more weight to that. This is also another cool...
It does, and it goes back to that whole, who's controlling who thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you need the ability... You need that specific ability to be able to complete your task at the end. Mm-hmm. Right? So it seems... and I was all excited when that moment happened because it was like, oh, yeah, like, I knew it, Mm-hmm. and then you get that ending and you're just like, oh. So right here, we're starting to hear it.
We're starting to hear the...
Which is so... This has to be my favorite part of the game. I know I said earlier, I was like, I don't know if it's my favorite, but I really do. The more I think about it, like, this whole puzzle is so freaking bizarre in a good way. It's so epic.
It's so it's so epic. It's so grand. You're going up and down these different levels. You have to gather probably the largest amount of followers for a puzzle.
Right.
Because even later on, when you get a bunch of the dismembered bodies following you, this is still, I mean, you have that number right there. You have to reach a count of 20 people total, pretty much. And but yeah, hearing the big booming and you sort of see some things shake. Mm-hmm. It's almost like something, like
I didn't know what to expect.
A big, like, I was thinking there's a big monster.
Yeah,
there's a big monster behind that door. That was like
what I thought, but I was like, it's so like I was thinking monster, but it's so what's the word I'm looking for? Consistent, the sound. Mm-hmm. It loops. So that's sort of the other thing that was like, is it a monster? Like, what makes that sound consistently? You know what I mean? So then, I mean, it was not at all. Still, when I got out there, it still wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah, it's a muffled, rhythmic booming,
right?
And it reminds you of earlier on when you're in like the assembly line.
Yeah, and you're.
And you hear,
you gotta dance to the beat.
But this is more terrifying.
This is scary, yeah. Because you can't see it.
You can't see it. It sounds massive, right? And like you said, we're in this massive part now of this building, or actually, we've probably moved on to the building. We're coming what looks like to be like either a ship or some sort of facility built on the water, of a beach. And it's just like, what's going on? But the reason why I said, going back to the girl, why I think she's the biggest mystery, sort of relates to this big mystery coming up, is I feel like this part and the part with the girl, when you look at all the theories and like what is this game about, what's going on here, a lot of people kind of skip over these two moments in the game. They don't really. Yeah,
I feel like those are the two biggest moments, as the girl and this. This to me is the biggest mystery, because at least with the girl, we have an idea. They're experimenting on children. Mm-hmm. This is no surprise in the society. They're able to swim underwater and breathe underwater, believably. And so and then you see when they're kind of working on the children too. To a certain degree, because you do see them sort of like you see scientists interacting with the girl at one point, or you see them in their little pods or whatever. So this is so cool, because now it's like, the device is wireless. I guess
stuck on your head.
It's stuck, but it's also like it's wireless. Like, you don't need to be connected.
Yeah,
which is kind of weird. And if you think about it, it's a little problematic also with the given alternate ending. I don't know. But
it also makes you wonder, like, it's like an infinite thing. They're always gonna follow you if that thing's on.
Right.
So would the next step of this technology have been a device like this that you can take with you on the go?
Right.
Because if this is supposed to be a device that you're gonna be putting to market and to sell to people,
right,
then that means they have to have a little area in their home where they plug into, but that area is stationary.
Right.
So the next step up is this sort of like mind control on
wireless,
the go.
Yeah.
And you just know that's where it's gonna be. But I remember thinking, like, when I first played this and this got stuck on the head, it's like, oh, is this gonna cause permanent damage? Am I gonna be able to control them when it leaves my brain?
Right.
That's where I thought they were kind of gonna go with it. But again, it's like, if we're gonna subscribe to the theory that we've touched upon previously in the other episodes, if you're being pulled inside this facility to where you gotta go to the huddle by the huddle itself, you know, has it already shown that it's capable of that power? Has it already shown to these scientists working on it that, like, man, maybe one day we can research technology where you can control people with your own mind and you won't need a device?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is that the end goal? Is that the end goal to create? Is that something that could even be possible in real life?
Yeah.
I mean, we all know about, you know, we've heard and read stories about research being done with mind control. I've had friends who've talked about being, what is it when you're put in that trance? Hypnotized, you know, and that's sort of maybe like kind of like a mind control thing, but it's a scary thought, I think. It's a scary thought to think that.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and, you know, just remind people, you know, the Life After podcast by GE, written by, what's his name?
Mac Rogers?
Mac Rogers. Yeah, I feel like sound design. I'm always going to go back to the sound design of this game. And having recently replayed Limbo, how they took that stepping stone from the original Limbo and what they did with Inside was so much grander in terms of sound design, in terms of, first of all, from the music standpoint, that you the interview that you that you read with the music composer is just like, what, you know, like it's a whole other level of sound design, but specifically with these moments, specifically with the sound of that reverberating whatever it is, because we don't really know what it is. We know that it's some sort of possibly a weapon,
maybe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And with even like the girls underwater, because even when she's getting close to the hatch and you don't know what she's gonna do, it sounds menacing. It sounds like
it's like a deformed underwater breathing sound.
Yeah, and it's scary. It's scary. And as she gets closer to you, it gets very it's very aggressive.
Yes.
So they did, I mean, they took the stuff that they started in Limbo, and they took it to the next level with Inside. I feel like it's definitely, it feels like a.
And another thought I just had, what you said with about the sound design, and going back to when we, you know, read the piece of the article where the designer, you know, he talked about it being, he used a human skull. But you think about it, like you said, it's like with sound, you can do stuff sort of with mind control. You can play with mind control.
Oh, that was gonna be my point. But yeah, the fact that in Life After, that's a huge point there, is using the use of sound, and also with, you know, the message, which is like a precursor to Life After, which is not as good, I would say, but the use of sound, and the use of sound specifically, how its effects on the brain. But you could go ahead if you were going to say
I got murked there.
Yeah.
This was actually a part that we didn't find.
I was going to say, I don't remember this part.
We didn't find this part when we first played. This was in the replay. Again, I'm seeking out all the orbs to get the achievements, obviously, but also to get the hidden ending. And this was actually my favorite orb to find.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it was just so cool. This, you know, having to, you know, fend off the dogs. But when the achievement you unlock, because you get it on achievement unlock, right, is called Pack Mentality. And right here, this is a great moment. When I pull the orb, watch what happens with all the dogs. As soon as I pull the orb, you know, they're there, they want to kill me. The only thing that's keeping away for now is the torch. And I'm like, all right, I guess I gotta pull the orb, you know, like, do I drop the torch? What's gonna happen? Are they gonna get me?
Oh.
And as soon as you pull the orb, they scurry.
So the dogs are also being controlled. Yeah, they're, because I always wondered, and you know, that goes back to, you know, what is he alive? Is he being controlled, etc. Right? But remember earlier how I was saying, and I have never seen this, so this is actually really like the wheels are turning right now. I had said before, the dogs apparently have been trained to spot out people who are living or people who are not being controlled, or however that works. But now it's like the dogs are being controlled, not necessarily trained. You think that they're being trained to be these vicious killers.
Killer
it's
dogs,
like,
killer attack dogs.
They're being controlled.
Being controlled, yeah.
That's crazy.
And did that stem from the experiments? Obviously, with science, it seems to be the norm. You start experimenting with animals first.
Yeah, I had,
So it's like we see those pigs in the beginning.
That seems fairly obvious, but I did not really process that until you said that.
we see those pigs at the beginning and the worms, and maybe the worms sort of reminiscent of the parasitic worms in Limbo that have sort of mind control capabilities.
Right.
Maybe the pigs were the first ones.
And it did not end well. But also, it looks like, the parasitic worms, I mean, it seems like they sort of took over the population of the pigs. You see all of these pigs that are sort of like in this zombie state. So it's like, it was probably, you're right, like the first generation of what's the animal that's closest to the human, and that actually is the pig, because there's a lot of similarities between us and pigs, believe it or not. So that kind of makes sense that they started testing like the first generation on pigs, and maybe it didn't go so well and it sort of decimated the pig population, but it gave them enough confidence to start testing on humans.
Yeah.
And what kind of world are we living in?
Right.
What kind of lack of resources are there that people are like, this is the next logical step.
Yeah. Because also another thing you got to think of is like these people, they're dressed up like construction workers, except for this one guy we just got.
Blue collar workers.
Yeah,
right?
except for this one guy we just got that he's in his pants. And there's always a big thing, especially now in our modern times. The South Park episode that came out probably, I don't know, 12 years ago, 15 years. Oh, they took our jobs. There's always a big thing. People have always been scared of AI replacing the workforce. Outsourcing jobs. There's always this big fear of jobs. But here, you see these people, these gray bodies, and they're doing what looks like the blue collar jobs. They're all dressed up in construction. We see at one point like a janitor. One sweeping up in one of the facilities, cleaning up. Here they're working in the mine. And are people cool with this? Are people cool with this being the new workforce? Or is this being born out of necessity, which is why people are cool with it? It's like, are people complaining like they would complain for computers taking your job? A computer took your job, daddy, to quote Dusty Rhodes. Or, closing the factory in the Midwest and sending it, across the seas. Are people complaining like, no, this is wrong, they're gonna take our jobs to give it to some gray people who aren't even alive?
Well, yes is the answer to that, I think.
But also, like, if a society is cool with it, then maybe it's like, did something happen to the population? If you think about the pigs being infected, did something happen to the food population, which would then justify.
Mm-hmm. Also, well, it's like, these people are going to die anyway, so let's make them labor that is not, we don't have to sustain, and we don't have to feed, and we don't have to use until we use this mind control device to control them. It would also justify, it's like, all these people are going to die anyways because of our food supply. I mean, it didn't seem like the vegetation was affected. We go through a corn maze.
Well, they were growing trees underground, but yes, we do go through a corn maze,
right? Which is like our biggest crop in the U.S.
But we didn't see any corn on those.
Oh, I didn't even pay attention to that.
They were just the stalks without the corn.
Okay. Well, and also we have to realize, like, specifically in the U.S., and I do want to be careful about pointing out that this is not a American game developer.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So this is a European game developer. But I mean, if anything, I think that right now, with how things are politically and everything, I do think that the world is watching.
Yes.
Specifically what the U.S. is doing. And the U.S. it is sort of known for its corn crops. Yeah. So I thought it was an interesting choice for that. And it would be interesting to sort of research how corn is utilized in other countries.
And Europe has had issues in the past with livestock. livestock contaminate. I mean, obviously the big mad cow disease
right.
thing in the 90s, but even recently the push to move against livestock that has just been injected with chemicals and stuff, especially in Europe. I know I've been reading some stuff about that there's this big movement against that because they feel like it's going to kill the product, and then everyone's going to be stuck with eating cows that have all been injected with growth hormones and chemicals, and we're not going to be eating real beef anymore. It's all going to be fake and genetically modified.
What I think that the thing that you're referring to, actually, I just saw a TED Ed video today on that. It's called The Tragedy of the Commons, and it basically means that resources that more than one person has to use, and the example that they give in the video is there's a fish pond that has 12 fish in it, and there's 4 people, there's 4 people total in this village that have to fish from it. How many do they each have to fish in order for it to for the population to be able to recover itself and stuff?
You might want to lower your headphones for this part.
Oh yeah, right.
This part is going to get really loud.
It's so good. So this part's amazing. I'll go back to the TED Ed talk after this, but yeah, maybe you can link that in the description box. But
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, because it's called The Tragedy of the Commons. It's about so good. So good. You're just like, what is happening? And the first time you definitely die because you have no idea how the effect that this has.
Even the game tells you right here with the box being blown away. It's like, will I be safe?
No, you won't, is the answer to that. Yeah, this part is just so...
And we are inside something.
Yeah.
At first I thought, when we first played the game, I thought we went back outside. And now we're like... I thought like maybe in the distance there was a war going on. Like bombs.
Right.
dropping.
That was the other thing that had crossed my mind. I said, is there a battle being fought out there?
Like a never-ending battle.
Right. Because you hear it would sound like explosions, right? Oh, this is so good. You see, so we're seeing it, once...
Yeah, I already know.
You already know what you're doing, right? And so there's a little bit of a... It's going to be fun to do the limbo playback, because we did try that one last night, and you died a bunch of times.
Because I hadn't played it in a long time,
yeah, exactly.
so I died a bunch.
So it's... But I think it's a good thing to see that, I think...
Yes, it is.
I think it's interesting, because especially here, like, this was freaking hard to get
This
through.
is a lot of timing in this
Especially
puzzle.
this specific one right here.
You're timing the turning of the barrier, or whatever that is, along with the timing of the
shield.
and what has been described as a this is like the sonic room, the sonic wave room, or something like that.
I would call it the sonic boom.
Sonic boom room.
Because it rhymes.
It does. And
did you get it the first time?
Ooh, I love that we get that audio shift.
Yeah. So good.
With the music that syncs up with the sound.
The sound design.
It's so good.
I don't know if there's actually video game awards, but if there was video game.
Oh, there are.
But like, is there like a? Ooh, you're dead.
Yeah,
I saw that coming. So gross though.
And then, Inside actually won quite a few awards for
did it win for
design.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say, because I mean that would be the first.
Or Inside, I should say, won.
I would say that's absolutely something that I would be like, oh yeah, this one deserves to win for audio, for sound design. It's some of the best sound design I've seen, period.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so impressive what they're doing with sound in this game. And not only that, but like the fact that you have like a music composer that is that, we'll say passionate, because I don't want to say crazy, but that passionate about the sound that he wants to get for the music score for this game. And then you come up with a game that's just beautiful to listen to. Not necessarily in terms of beautiful, like nice sounding, but just very powerful, you get the scale of this world. And I think that that's so important. That's something that not everybody gets that right. And you die. Oh, no, you didn't die. Look at that.
At the Game Developers Choice Awards, which is one of the more prestigious awards you can win, because it's completely voted on by the game developers, hence the name. They won Best Audio there, and they were nominated a lot for audio and sound and a lot of the other big awards, but they won the Edge Award for audio design. It's interesting because this game came second place pretty much when it was nominated for Game of the Year, because
what won Game of the Year?
It came out in 2016, so it was going up against The Witcher 3, and The Witcher 3 is a very beloved franchise. I have not played any of the Witcher games, but apparently they're really good. Also, European-based company, so it was the year of the European designers taking all the awards. But when Inside came
earning
out,
all the awards, we'll say.
when Inside came out, it was the second highest rated game of the year, behind Witcher 3.
You went flying.
I went flying there. But going back to this Sonic Boom Room, so was this an experiment gone wrong?
And these are the crash dummies, right?
Yeah, like the crash test dummies. Was this an experiment gone wrong? Were they working on something?
It does feel like an experiment gone wrong, because it doesn't seem like they have anybody that's, supervising at this point, or seeing how it's going, or, any of that. So it does, you get to hear all the sounds that I make when I get scared in a video game. It doesn't seem. It seems like it's now just sort of like left to fall apart now,
which is what we've been seeing kind of throughout. All these left experiments,
right.
To sort of just like,
and just going back to that idea of like the tragedy of the commons. It's like, when humans are left to their own devices, we take more and more and more of non-renewable or limited resources until we can take no more, and then we move on to the next thing. And because there's no regulation, because there's no there's no one telling us, okay, well, legally you can't do this, or legally you can only take this much, or legally you should only eat this much meat, because if you eat more than that, we're going to have to produce more, and it's going to cause more pollution and all this stuff. So I think it's very I think this game is sort of critical on that, and rightfully so, because this is a world where we have abused the resources. We have, and for some reason now we're utilizing human beings as resources. Now we're harvesting humans, and it's and they're a commodity to be sold, and you can't even call them slaves, because they're not living. Like,
they're dead.
It's literally, you're harvesting humans. So I mean, we live in a world where we've abused so many resources, and this whole oh my god, so good.
I love that part, because you think you're safe,
and then you're not.
You're not. But it also brings the question, like, why wasn't it happening before? Was this,
Well, I'm guessing you got to a sub-level that was not protected. The level where you were at was protected, and then you got to a level that wasn't, which is probably a good reason why this place is, this whole area has been abandoned.
But we're gonna rise up, and this is gonna be the end of this episode, so we're gonna continue our journey inside.
Oh, so good.